We got the Devils on the brink. We got the Kraken and Stars going toe-to-toe for what looks like 7 games. And of course, we got to break down what you do with Gabriel Landeskog and his fantasy value future, all on Thursday's episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Let's get right to it.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to your source for fantasy hockey news and daily degenerate gambling breakdowns. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Of course, thank you for making us your first listen every single day. I am joined by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Steel Roden. You've seen his work all across YouTube. Check him out, NHL Quick Hits, and of course, the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I'm your boy, Big Flip Livingstone. You've seen my work across such platforms as The Score NHL, CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, Narcity Media, and a whole lot more. And thank you for tuning in for the Thursday episode, one in which, Steel, we got to talk about Gabriel Landeskog and where, if you're a fantasy GM that owns this guy, dynasty keeper or otherwise, what are you doing with him headed into next season? And what's going on with the Colorado Avalanche. We also, of course, got to talk about Game 5s, tee-ups, some special players on both of those series, Steel, doing some special things. Martinook, Pavelski, we're going to get there. And, of course, big-time bets. Where would you like to take this Landeskog conversation? Because right off the top, this sounds like some pretty serious knee surgery. Cartilage transplant? That can't be good for a guy who's already had a number of issues with his knees.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable news, terrible news for Gabriel Landeskog, his career at the Colorado Avalanche moving forward. Just, a couple days ago, news breaks out, he'll miss the entire 2023-24 season after this cartilage transplant surgery on his right knee. And I think all of us now know how much more important he is to this team after him not being there for the first round against the Seattle Kraken. If he was there, it probably would have been a different story because he brings that element and that leadership to this Avalanche team. He's a dominant performer, 55, 65 points in the regular season on average every single year. But he plays a hard game. He's physical. He blocks shots. He fights. And that takes a toll on your body. And he's been in a couple of different big hits throughout his career. And,
right.
An injury like this, that is this severe, a knee injury where you have to have your cartilage transplant. It's just brutal. But again, looking back at it, it would have been a different series. And he's just that important for the Avalanche. He's the captain for a reason, born leader. He knows when to create the chaos. And he also knows when to get his team to calm down. So it was unfortunate that we weren't able to see that in that first round series and that he wasn't there. And I don't know if you saw this tweet from Mark Mathot, but he sent out a retweet after the news broke from Landeskog about this surgery. And he's like wishing him the best of luck on a speedy recovery. But he also stated that he had the same surgery, back when he was playing in his career, late in his career. And it was a brutal rehab process, brutal recovery process. And he even said that he never fully got back to 100% skating where he felt comfortable on the ice. So 2 straight years of Landeskog not playing, and he's missing all this time. He's turning 31 later this year in November. He's not young anymore, and being off the ice for 2 years and this surgery of this extent, it's going to take a toll on his body. So fantasy-wise and his value, do you even draft him in the late rounds? Do you just let him go to the waiver wire and pick him up and throw him on the IR and just see what happens? Maybe he's ahead of schedule and he comes back in February, or he's ahead of schedule and comes back in January. We don't know, but his fantasy value is obviously not there anymore. And it's just painful to see because he's such an elite player and fantasy player to have on your team.
Hey, before I get to all that, that is my bad. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. You and I love the Game Time app. Make sure you go check them out. Download it today. All of what you're saying, Steele, is spot on. And I think also at the end of it all, this Colorado Avalanche team is still going to be there. Nathan McKinnon is a unit. Cale Makar, all of the Rantanen, all the other pieces they have. This team is going to be in the mix. If they can maybe juggle the lineup a little bit in the offseason. I don't know what the cap space looks like at the end of it all. Landeskog was such an important piece. I think also when I look to his playoff numbers, 67 points in 69 career postseason game steal, such a clutch performer as well. And he checks all the boxes, banger league beauty. You mentioned his ability to throw his weight around and change the game both offensively and physically. So that caught up with him a little bit. His first season in the league, he had 219 hits steal.
Yeah.
This is a guy who, could really bring the body in. Unfortunately, I just went at cartilage replacement. I'm not a doctor, but this is getting really intense in terms of the toll on this guy's body. He's played a lot of hockey. I think for sure, if you hadn't already gotten away from him, this is the sign to definitely do it. I would have probably had him stashed still if I had him in my keeper dynasty league still, because of, like you said, such a beast when it comes to daily fantasy and regular fantasy. But yeah, it's time to let him go. I wouldn't even be touching him in next, maybe ever again in a draft. He might just be an add-on now. But I guess lastly, I'll throw it back over to you. What's your expectations for this Colorado team next year? Like, I think still playoffs, but I think they're going to need to get a little creative. And again, I'd have to dig into their cap situation, and Nishushkin's a question mark. There's a lot of intriguing storylines going into this offseason for this team.
Look, the Colorado Avalanche dealt with injuries to their superstars all season long. Cale Makar had concussions. Nathan MacKinnon was out with a lower body injury. Nichushkin had ankle problems. Landeskog was gone the entire season, and they got by just fine. They were the top three in their division, and they were always hanging around. They never really dropped out. Once they got into the top three, they were battling for the top spot, and they got by, and they did well.
Good regular season from Georgiev,
great regular season. But the playoffs and the postseason is a different beast. And it truly matters if Gabriel Landeskog was there. He's their captain. He's the leader. And like I said, or like you said, obviously, they've got Nathan MacKinnon, they've got Mikko Rantanen, they've got Cale Makar, they've got all those stars. Again, they had some problems in the postseason with injuries and guys who stepped away from the team for incidents that happened in the postseason as well. So they were dealing with a bunch of stuff, but not having Gabriel Landeskog was a crucial part in them losing to the Seattle Kraken in 7 games. In my opinion, he brings that much value to the team in front of the net, banging away on rebounds, big
spreads
bodies.
Out their depth too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they were missing. So as talented as the Avalanche are in all aspects of the ice, like even Georgiev had a good postseason as well. There was a lot missing from last year, and you could just tell it was back to what Nathan MacKinnon said, it was one of the, if not the toughest first round series or any series that he's been a part of probably. Gabriel Landeskog was huge, but even just looking down the road, like what you said, I think you're right. Like, once he even does come back from this, in 2024 to start the season, or 2025, 2 years down the road from now, like, where's he going to be? Where might
that's
he land
if he comes back too.
Exactly. That's if he's even able to. Like Mark Mathot said, he was never fully back at 100% skating and where he was comfortable. So it's a tough surgery. It's going to be a tough rehab process. We all wish him to be back as well. We all love this player. He brings so much value fantasy-wise and just general to the game. And we all want to see him back on the ice, but it's going to be a brutal recovery.
It will be. You will see us back covering Game 5 tee-ups, Devils at Hurricanes, Kraken at Stars, both series holding intriguing storylines, including Martinook going beast out of nowhere, Pavelski going beast. I like to talk about Fabulous Joe. We're going to talk about both of those storylines and, of course, big-time bets for Thursday night. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Make sure you check out Game Time and avoid all the stress that you can get when you buy tickets through the online apps. You never know, Steele. I've been at the gate one time trying to see the Bengals and Bills. Those tickets didn't work, and you're all over the place. With the Game Time app, you don't need the stress. Flash deals, last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy all through the Game Time app. And, of course, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection, all to have your back to make sure you get to all the events that you need. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. You can get exclusive flash deals for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and a lot more. The The game time guarantee means you always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, you get a credit for 110% of the difference. Make sure you snag the tickets you want without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify as well. DM us on Twitter at LO_fantasy NHL for any fantasy hockey advice, as well as don't be afraid to or leave some comments on the YouTube channel as well, leaving your thoughts, feedback, and opinions on some of our takes here. And going forward with this Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils series, the Hurricanes just have a stranglehold right now on the Devils. You know, you heard it from Lindy Ruff. Just brutal game 4 for the New Jersey Devils. Vanacek was awful. Akira Schmid came in. He let a goal in on the second shot when he was in. Brutal game 4 for the Devils, but who's having probably the best series in his life and best time of his life right now. Jordan Martinook of the Carolina Hurricanes is playing unreal. He has been the big surprise for me in this series.
Yeah, and this is a guy, I don't think there's a fantasy take here. Like, even in, you know how serious and degenerate my keeper league is, Steele. This guy is, maybe a week-to-week flyer if you're getting really, really aggressive at the bottom of the bin. Topping out at 25 career points before this season, 34 this season, a career high for, hey, this guy's grinding right now, Steele. Sometimes on your run to the Stanley Cup, you're going to have to get good performances from some gritty guys. And that's what right now Jordan Martinook is doing. And look, we questioned the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll come on here and be the first one to say they needed to have a balanced attack. They needed to have someone step up, because I think even when you look at the stats overall, I know Nikash had a good game last time. Seth Jarvis has been pretty good. Huge shout out to Jordan Staal, quietly 2 goals, 6 assists. But realistically, right, there's no one really standing out. Even Aho, 5-5, solid. But you know what I'm saying? So they've had to have these kinds of step-out performances from the random names that we just mentioned. And what does that mean, Steele, for me? Look out for this Carolina team, because also if you take a quick peek at Freddie Anderson's numbers, a guy who's been through the meat grinder for the playoffs, he's ready to win, right? Like, he's not going to be fazed by taking 30, 40, 50 shots. He's been there. We don't need to go down that route. Oh my goodness, that hurts. But his numbers quickly, 930 save percentage, 1.80 goals against. He's 4-0. Shout out to Freddie. This Carolina Hurricanes team is the betting favorite right now for the Cup, and they've earned it.
Betting favorite for a reason, just pure domination. Brendan Moore is just such a talented head coach.
Love Brendan Moore.
Love what he's doing right now with the Carolina Hurricanes, and he knows what it takes to win a championship. He's won one with the Carolina Hurricanes in 2006, so he knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic head coach, and to your point as well, players that are on the Hurricanes depth chart have really needed to step up in this series. No Andrei Svechnikov, no Max Pacioretty, no Teuvo Teravainen, some of their top guys right there. And you've got the Triple J's just playing out of their mind right now. Jesper Kotkaniemi, he's got 4 points in this series. 3 of them are goals. Jesper Foss, he's got 5 points. 2 of them are goals. And then Jordan Martinook went pointless in the entire first round against the New York Islanders. Didn't have a single point. And now he has 9 points in 4 games against the New Jersey Devils. 9 points in 6 games the entire postseason. So I'm looking at Jordan Martinook, and I know you just made that comment that he's a flyer type of guy. You pick him up on the waiver wire every Monday if the Hurricanes have a strong schedule. I'm seriously considering maying drafting him in the last couple of rounds if he continues playing like this. He's balling out right now, and he works hard. He works hard. He's very passionate with the game, and you can see it in the level of play right now as well. And I've been pretty hard on Jesper Kotkaniemi. I haven't really enjoyed his level of play the last couple of
That's
years.
been fair,
But
I
now I'm getting impressed with him. He's in the right spot at the right time. He's at the right post or the left post, banging away at rebounds.
Yep.
He's out there hitting guys hard. That hit against Nico Hischier the other day was just clean, but brutal hit. Just annihilated him. So I like what I'm seeing from the young guys now in Kotkaniemi.
Yep.
And again, Martinook, 9 points in 4 games this series. He's just popping off right now.
Hey, it's these things that can sometimes turn the energy, turn the vibe for a team. And as much as, yes, we did point out the fact that the Hurricanes' one weakness was sometimes inability to score goals and those injuries to key offensive pieces, that's obvious. But maybe now we're seeing this team that's so off defensively stingy built for this time of year, right? You maybe not need too many goals if you're holding the opposition to 1 or 2 every single night. And I think that this lineup is built out of anyone left in the NHL, right now to do that, Steele. So, hey, sky's the limit for them. Like we said, Vegas has them as the favorites for a reason. A lot of different storylines we're going to break down tomorrow on tomorrow's episode, including some more of these veteran guys that, like Steele's alluding to, I don't know if Martinook might be way too bold for me, but some veteran guys next season that you still could get some value in the back end of the drafts. We're going to focus on some of those guys tomorrow and focus on one of them in Joe Pavelski coming up right after the break. And of course, big time bets, Steele. Where do you want to take us, though? Shout out to the Locked On Fantasy Network or what?
Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast Network. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. Again, follow us and hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. We appreciate everyone tuning in every single day, making it your first listen. And of course, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. But you're right, we got to tee up and talk about Game 5 between the Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars. And of course, the veteran guru himself, veteran legend, Joe Pavelski, my guy, is balling out as well for the Dallas Stars. Comes back from that injury. And again, I still think it was a fair check. I thought it was pretty clean. And I know that's still up for debate. But obviously you want him back. You never want to see a guy injured. But once he got back, he was not going back again. And he just kept going forward. 4 goals that one game. He's now up to 5 goals, 6 points in 5 games for the Dallas Stars.
6 goals. He's got 6 now.
6 goals. Sorry, 6 goals. 7
points
I
got
in 5 games now. But Joe Pavelski is still one of those guys. He's going to be, 39 years old next year, and he's still going to be one of the best players. And, I think
Giordano turning 45 still.
Giordano's turning 50.
He's going to be 38 this offseason.
Incredible just how, at this age, he's continuing the dominance. And I tweeted this out the other day, Joe Pavelski. And I will fight anyone on this statement I'm about to say. Joe Pavelski has the best hand-eye coordination in the NHL, and it's not even a question. He practices it every single day.
You saw that video of the tip drill, didn't you? You saw that video.
Oh, man, it's
fire.
I swear. Someone posts it like every month. Like it's always just on my feed somehow. And I'm like, this guy's just so good in front of the net. That's where he gets all his goals. That game with his 4th goal. In that one game, in Game 1 against the Kraken was just unbelievable. But yeah, Joe Pavelski at 39, 38 years old, he's still going to be one of those guys that is draftable as a veteran and still gets the job done offensively. Like, where do you think Joe Pavelski would land next year? And I know,
really good question.
I've been trying to sell you on Joe Pavelski for a long time. I think you're finally starting to come around a little bit more than you were.
Look, yeah, well, here. It hasn't been a hard sell because of how good he is. It was more so like trying to predict, and I've been wrong. I talked a little bit on yesterday or Tuesday's episode about trying to fade some of these veteran names like Marc-Andre Fleury and guys you should get away from. I was expecting a fall off from Pavelski, and he's been so good with that top line in Dallas, and Rupe Hintz continues to get better. He's been obviously one of the best in this postseason. So as long as and even RoboCop, because that top power play unit, he gets to benefit from that as well. So I would say, Steele, maybe we're giving away too much for tomorrow's episode, but I would be comfortable taking him depending on the format, which obviously throws a wrinkle into what and when you're taking players. I would be okay if it's like more of a straight up, like just offensive league. I'd be lurking for Pavelski. If he's putting up 81 points, 77 points, and still showing the beast mode hands he has in the postseason, why not take him within the first top 10 rounds and make sure that you're getting a good veteran presence? So let's see what happens, though, because at the end of the day, Steele, while I have been skeptical of his performances, he came from a losing situation in San Jose, a franchise that could really never get it done, to one in Dallas that's had some more success. And hey, they have just as good of an opportunity to win a cup here as anybody if Jake Ottinger can play a little bit better. I know for the most part he's been good. He's got to be better, and that's my final takeaway headed into this Seattle-Dallas game here on Thursday night is Ottinger's got to be better, and I think then you'll see the tide of this series turn for Dallas. No discredit due to the Seattle Kraken. Yeah. They're just not there just yet.
That's the crazy thing about this second round series. Like, you know, even though the Panthers right now are up 3-0 against the Maple Leafs in that series, and to me, that's been the most consistent series, low scoring, 1-goal games, 2 overtimes, 3-2 finishes in the type of games.
Consistently disappointing if you're a Leafs fan.
But consistent nonetheless, been low scoring. And even though the Panthers up 3-0, these other series have been
unpredictable,
crooked numbers.
Well, crooked,
unpredictable. Like you look,
see what you're saying.
It's one game, it's 5-1. The next game, it's 6-1. It's 8-4. It's 7-2. It's 6-3. Like these games are just crooked right now. You would expect a little bit more of a goal, especially with Jake Ottinger. That first game, last game or the game 3 as well. Just some crooked numbers in these series, but nonetheless, I picked the Dallas Stars to go win this in 7 games, but it's a best of 3 series now. The Stars have home ice advantage, but I think you said this before, before we get to big time bets, I just want to wrap it up with this. I think you pointed out a while ago, probably when the regular season was ending, that the Seattle Kraken are one of the best road teams in the NHL. 6th best road team in the regular season. They're also 4-2 in the postseason right now. So even though the Dallas Stars have home ice advantage, it's best of 3 series, I don't think it gives them really that much of an advantage whatsoever.
Yeah, that's totally a fair take, Steele. I guess at some point I just expect the rope to run out on Seattle.
Yeah.
That's not exactly I'm not breaking science and hockey takes here. I just, I really do think that the better team in Dallas, you've seen Sagan and Ben and the veterans really step up.
Yeah.
And just a very quiet blue line in Dallas. They don't do too much too flashy, but they get it all done. Heiskanen's ailing a little bit. That could be critical. Let's see what happens. I still lean Dallas. I think I had them in 6, so I still kind of like my prediction there. I think they're going to take the next 2.
Well, we both got Dallas, so I'm fine with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Kraken came out somehow. They've been phenomenal.
Nothing's surprising me in this postseason anymore. Not a single thing
whatsoever. Yeah, everything's just been crazy this postseason. But let's get over to big time bets, where the money is made. 3 picks coming your way from each Flip and I. And to start us off, I've got 2 over-under picks, and I've got a money line pick. First pick of the night, I've already been kind of teasing it up a little bit. First pick of the night, Stars and Kraken, over 5.5 goals in this game.
Okay.
Minus 140 right now. Every single game has been over 6 goals, and 3 out of the 4 games have been over 8 goals. So at over 5.5, you can even bump it to over 6.5 if you want to juice up those odds. But I was going to parlay these three picks together. So over 5.5 at minus 140. I like that for Stars and Kraken game.
Absolutely feeling it. Yeah, if Ottinger steals a game, I can't help but feel it will be under. But right now, I'm not seeing that from him, and that just may be more indicative overall of how good Dallas is. Yeah. They are still getting it done without Ottinger being at his best. I think also that speaks volumes to how good Ottinger is. So, be careful for where you miss out on him next season, maybe first overall. No, I'm kidding. I thought people on the Sorokin train were going to get on me. I'm kidding. We'll get there, but very quickly, Steele, I got 3 bets as well. I'll ream off, if you're okay. I'll just bang out all 3 right now.
Let's
very quickly. Dallas on the money line at minus 200. There's no value there, but it's going to get put into the parlay with my other picks. And it goes right hand in hand with a guy that I think, and again, their 2 most important pieces going into the season, into this series, Ottinger and Robertson. Robertson only has 2 goals and 6 assists in this postseason. Let me confirm that, though. I think that's the case.
I believe that's true, yes.
Yeah, 2 goals and 6 assists. So he's been okay, not great. Yeah, it is 2 goals, 6 assists. Give me the RoboCop anytime goal. I think he's going to be better. I think Ottinger is going to be better, and I think Dallas rolls in this one. You're going to get a good odd because he has been struggling a little bit, especially on the goal side of things. So Robertson anytime goal. That's my second pick. And my lock of the night, Carolina on the money line, minus 125. I just think they get it done. And this is just so nothing against the New Jersey Devils. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Metro for a number of years. The goaltending's just not there yet.
Yeah.
Dougie Hamilton needs to be better offensively. He hasn't been there. And I think those two things, it's not rocket science. That's going to be a really tough hurdles for them to overcome. And just a really good Carolina team. And Frederick Anderson's confidence steal. Look out. The rest of the NHL better be careful because you know this guy has all the makings of being a dude who can handle the meat grinder of a Stanley Cup run.
Yeah, this series between the Hurricanes and the Devils, to me, has really put a dent in both Akira Schmid and Vitek Vanacek's fantasy value for next year. Talking
Agreed.
when we look back at the first round series, we were all hype about Akira Schmid when he came into replacement, but he just has not looked on his game. Neither has Vanacek. So at this point, I'm questioning where they would fall in next year's fantasy draft. But nonetheless, my 3 picks, Stars and Kraken.
Talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow or sometime. Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow with the
sometime near future.
In the near future. But Stars and Kraken over 5.5 at minus 140. That's the first pick. Second pick, Hurricanes Devils over 5.5 at minus 128. Again, every single game so far has been over 6 goals. 2 of them have been over 7. So I like the over in both those games Thursday night. And then I'm with you here. Lock of the night is the Hurricanes on the money line against the New Jersey Devils. They're at home. The odd is minus 130. So parlay all 3 of those together. But the Hurricanes they don't lose at home. Rarely ever they lose at home in the postseason. They've dominated this series against the Devils. Don't have to go into length about that. So Flip and I, both the lock of the night. Hurricanes on the money line. They're about to wrap up this series, it seems like. And they'll be waiting for either the Florida Panthers or the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Big games still remain. I'm feeling confident, though, Flip. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good. Let's just pray a little bit right now. Let's take 10 seconds, pray a little bit for the Maple Leafs. Hopefully, at this point tomorrow, they've won Game 4. And they continue in the second round against the Panthers. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Make sure you're tuning in Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time is when you can find our podcast on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform. So subscribe, hit the follow button. And again, thank you so much for tuning in every single day for the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there. And we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.